everyone. I hope you're having an absolutely phenomenal Monday morning. We, of course, are going to go through our market update this morning. And there's a couple things that I want to make sure that I share, and I share multiple times throughout, just because there's a lot of updates that are going to be extremely important for you. The first thing I wanted to go ahead and cover today, many of you saw my video and post out last week, because I wanted to make sure that you are aware that within Los Angeles County, there is currently a grant program that is a mortgage relief assistance program, right? This is going to be very important. If you have not shared this with your clients yet, with your homeowner clients and their community, this is a huge opportunity to be able to really come from contribution with the people in your network. This is a mortgage relief program. It is a grant, right? It is a grant. So the way that grants work, there is a set amount of money that is put aside for this program through the application process. And once that money is gone, right, it's gone. It runs out. It's finite. So it's extremely important that if you have clients that could potentially benefit from that program, I want you to make sure you are having those conversations with them, that you're letting them know about this program. There's two parts to it. So the first part is they can get a mortgage grant up to $20,000. And then the secondary part is it also includes some consulting around foreclosure prevention consulting, right? So to help them through to ensure that these individuals are then not going forward and getting potentially foreclosed on as well. So huge program. I will probably mention it again at the end, but I want you to make sure that you are sharing that information with your clients, whether you're doing your own video, you're posting out those links, you're sending it out to your database. The links are all posted in the hub, right? I posted the link where they can actually go forth with the application itself. So just wanted to make sure we touched on that, because of course that is incredibly important. Now, can you guys see the market screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay, got it. Give me a second, guys. Let me make sure that we're sharing the right screen. Okay, perfect. So you guys should see. Yes? Now that I have it back up?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. The first thing I want to note, so of course, we always look at our showing time data. We're looking at the trends that we are seeing within this year. We're using 2019, right? This light blue line, 2019 is our baseline. This dark blue is what happened with showings in 2020, which we know obviously in March, we experienced a major dip during the shutdown order before, things kind of picked back up around May and then completely shot up from there. So as we look at this gold line, which is our 2021 weekly average, we can see that we experienced a dip here, right? We experienced a dip here, which we anticipated because that was Easter weekend, right? So anytime there's a holiday weekend, we tend to experience a little bit of a dip in showings. As was expected, right? We see showing recovery, but what happens? Anytime there's a dip, you have a little bit of pent up demand. So people that wanted to go see properties, whatever that might have been, they want to go, all of a sudden everybody's scheduling, right? The next day, the next week. So we can see that shot up very quickly, but rather than kind of evening out, it went a little bit higher. And it looks like within this past week, it's a little bit more even considering the trajectory that we had right here. We'll continue to watch this. I think the biggest thing we're looking at right now, obviously there's still a lot of showings that are happening. A lot of people are seeing multiple or more properties than they may have in 2019, specifically because we have a lower amount of inventory, right? When we have lower amount of inventory, now all of a sudden you have a supply and demand issue. You've got a lot of buyers that are competing for the same properties. It also means that we have more buyers seeing those properties, right, is one part of that. And then more buyers seeing more properties than they might have back in 2019 when their offers are not accepted. right? One of the things I want you guys to be very cognizant of right now as you're showing your clients is really look at the timelines and how quickly you're getting your offers in. And what I mean by that is this, right? If you go see a property and hit the market, you go see it right away with your clients, and you wait too long, chances are it may go under contract sooner rather than later. Things are moving very, very quickly. Most agents right now are setting a timeline in their agent remarks that you want to keep an eye on. Essentially, what does that mean? It means, hey, property goes on the market today. They will likely in their agent remarks note that they're going to be showing on specific dates and that they're going to be presenting offers on a specific date. So you want to make sure that you are extremely clear on those timelines, that you're communicating that to the clients as well, because often what happens, we get properties that our clients are interested in seeing and offers have already been submitted on that property. They're already making a decision. So you want to make sure that you have a little bit of clarity around that as well. Just looking at the numbers for this year, we can see it's up 89.5% compared to where we were in 2019, right? That's almost a double increase that we saw. Whereas in 2020, obviously we saw the opposite of that, which really just had to do with the shutdown, specifically for 2020. Now, jumping on over to our Los Angeles pricing trends, right? Our LA pricing trends within this past week. So we can see very similar to last week where we were pretty even across the board. We're kind of seeing that here as well. Under contract pricing within the last week was at 730,000, sold pricing at 730,000, and new pricing that or properties that came on the market within the last week a little lower than the week previous at 720,000. Now, when we look at our trends, right? When we look at our trends, right now we're kind of essentially comparing the fourth quarter, a little bit past the fourth quarter of last year and the first quarter of this year. We can see that under contract is up 4.4%, meaning that properties within the last 12 weeks have been going under contract almost $30,000 higher than they were in the fourth quarter of the year. Sold is up 4.5. That's a little bit over 30,000, right? Meaning properties are selling a little bit more than $30,000 more in the last 12 weeks than the 12 to 24 prior. And new pricing is up 4.9%, meaning that properties are coming on the market a little bit over $33,000 higher within the last 12 weeks than within the 12 to 24 prior. So we are seeing obviously what happens. Under contract goes up, sold goes up. That means the comparables go up, and that's how we're pricing new properties. So it creates this ripple effect where we're seeing that reflected in those properties that are coming on the market now in Los Angeles County. Now, looking at our inventory trends, right? Just looking across the board at our inventory trends, 1,200 homes went under contract in Los Angeles County this past week. 1,139 homes sold in LA County last week, and 1,262 properties came on the market within the last week. Again, overall, so I want you to take a look at these trends here. There's a couple things that I'm going to point out here that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. First, under contract, right? So properties that are under contract now are up 30.9%. Okay, so obviously that's everything that is going under contract now. That means sales are continuing to increase. I want you guys to pay attention to sold, right? Sold is at 0.2. Last week when we looked at this, and in the past couple weeks, we saw that sold was actually a little bit lower, right? Now we're seeing this increase. It's a small increase, but that was to be expected, because what we look at is the trends that are happening in the weeks leading up to it. And as we've seen our under contracts continue to rise, right? Properties that were going under contract continue to rise. The expectation was that sold is going to continue to rise. And so we went ahead and we can see that the arrow flipped within this past week. So more properties are selling now. That's a reflection of what's going on over here. Considering that our under contract is up 30.9%, right? Up 30.9%. This is going to continue to increase. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. And then new inventory coming on the market within the last 12 weeks is up 31.4%. So even though we are still kind of in this inventory shortage, even though there's still, this major supply and demand, we are seeing more properties coming onto the market right now. So there is opportunity. This is where you want to make sure that you're having the conversations with your clients about what their options are right now, right? So whatever that may be from a sale perspective, one of the things I've been reviewing, again, you guys know one of my favorite books besides The Millionaire Real Estate Agent when it comes to this business is Shift, right? Is Shift. And anytime we look at, I was looking at tactic number 4, find the motivated lead generation. If your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. We know what happens in a shifted market. Things change. We have seen this. Now, this isn't necessarily the type of shift that we always anticipate. Here we have a couple of really unique factors that are coming into play, specifically because of what happened during the pandemic. So we see a lot of pent-up demand that has been released. We see a lot of individuals that are wanting to take advantage. The buyers are wanting to take advantage of the low interest rates, and yet we also, especially as it relates to the sellers, we have sellers that are in a little bit of a pickle themselves. If they want to sell and they also want to buy, right now, there's two very different markets that are going on. It's not so even killed. And so when we look at that in terms of our lead generation, part of that is also coming up with those creative solutions for them. So I want to remind you guys to make sure you're using and taking advantage of the Seller Solutions program. I've seen a lot of those offers coming in and a lot of you that are using it right now. And part of that conversation, right, is how do we present all of the options to the clients so that we can potentially secure the listing using one of those methods, whether it's an open market sale, a bridge program that's going to be really important as well, or an iBuyer program. And we'll come back to that towards the end. So looking at our Orange County pricing trends, Orange County within the last week under contract hovered at about 858,000. Sold, we can see that's a little bit higher these last couple of weeks, right, than our under contract and new. So sold properties in Orange County sold at about 895,000 within the last week, and new inventory coming on the market at 855,000. When we look at our under contract trends within the last 12 weeks compared to the 12 to 24 prior, we are up 5.2%. In Orange County, that's a little bit more than $41,000, meaning that properties are going under contract about $41,000 higher in the last 12 weeks than the 12 to 24 prior. In sold, up 7.1%. Properties are selling a little bit over $55,000 higher in the last 12 weeks than the 12 to 24 prior. And then new inventory coming on the market is coming out 5.8% higher, which is a little bit over $46,000. So properties are priced about $46,000 higher in the last 12 weeks than the 12 to 24 prior. This is something we want to look at when we're obviously what happens. Comparables go up as properties sell at these higher price points, which we've seen because of negotiation. That is driving the comps up, meaning that drives price up as well. Looking at the inventory trends in Orange County, 724 properties went under contract within Orange County within the last week. 779 properties sold and 613 properties came on the market. Again, I want you to notice that sold trend is up. So all these arrows are flipping. We've been anticipating that. We've been talking about that the last 3 weeks. And this is where we're finally seeing sold catch up to this under contract. So under contract up 33.2%. Right, that means that there's about 194 additional properties on a week over week basis coming under contract in Orange County in the last 12 weeks. Sold up 3.8. We're going to see that number continue to rise just based on what we're seeing in our under contract numbers, right? Based on what we're seeing in our under contract numbers. So 3.8%. That's about 25 properties week over week, and then new inventory is up 35.1% as well. So seeing increases across the board. We're still seeing more inventory coming on the market. Riverside County pricing trends. So when we look right over here, our Riverside County pricing trends, under contracts came at 466,000 median price point for under contract properties in the last week in Riverside County, 480,000 for sold properties, and 470,000 for new properties that are coming on the market. Under contract in the last 12 weeks is up 2.7% for a little over 12,000, up 2.9% in sold inventory, also for a little over 12,000. But new pricing here is a much more significant jump here. That's 5.1%. That's 22,000. So we're seeing that properties coming on the market in Riverside County right now in the last 12 weeks are being priced approximately $22,000 higher than they were 12 to 24 weeks ago. So we keep an eye on those numbers as well. Looking at our inventory trends, 648 properties went under contract within the last week in Riverside County. 591 properties sold within the last week, and 548 properties came on the market within the last week in Riverside County. Now, that is a bit more of a significant dip than what we saw the previous week, right? We can see that this number has kind of been fluctuating a lot in Riverside County in terms of our new inventory. So we'll keep an eye on that. We want to see kind of what trends emerge over the next couple of weeks. Now, looking at under contract inventory, there's 27.6 more properties going under contract in the last 12 weeks compared to the 12 to 24 prior. Now, again, right, this green bar is something we've been paying attention to, and it's also flipped in Riverside County. So 0.3% more. That is a little bit more similar to what we saw in Los Angeles County. We saw Los Angeles County was at 0.2, right? Orange County is a little bit different. That one jumped pretty significantly, and yet sold in Riverside County also flipped at 0.3. So we are seeing these under contract properties and sold start increasing. We're going to see this continue to go up just based on the trend we're seeing in under contract. And the new inventory up 28.9%. Again, we are seeing more sellers entering the market right now. Looking at San Bernardino County, right? Our lowest price county under contract was at about median price point of 430,000 last week, sold at about 426,000, and new inventory coming on the market at 399,000. Now, when we look at the trends here, right? When we look at the trends here for the pricing here, we're seeing that in under contract, we were up 1.4%. That's about a little bit over 5,000, up 3.2% in sold pricing, and up 5.6 in our new inventory pricing. The new inventory pricing there, 5.6 increase, that's a little bit over 21,000. So properties are being priced approximately $21,000 higher in the last 12 weeks compared to the 12 to 24 prior. And last but not least, our San Bernardino inventory trends. There was 548 properties that went under contract in San Bernardino County within the last week. There was 502 properties that sold in San Bernardino County within the last week. And there was 582 properties that came on the market in San Bernardino County within the last week. The one thing I want to note, so San Bernardino County, unlike the rest of the counties where we've seen this sold arrow flip as it relates to the inventory that's selling, this hasn't flipped yet, right? It hasn't flipped yet. However, we look at our under contract up 27.2%, and it's pretty safe to assume that we will probably see this number flip, if not this coming week, right, within about 2 weeks or so. I would anticipate that we're going to see this number just adjust itself. So important for us to take a look at on here in terms of just overarching, the inventory trends. There's a couple things that we want to make sure we're having a conversation with our clients about. I see, give me 1 second, guys, because I see some question in the chat box. What is the term negotiation taking place and certain things are disputed? In terms of, I want to get a little bit more clarity on your question. Are you talking about appraisal? if a property is not coming in at appraised value, and you can write that in the chat box so that I can clarify and make sure that I'm able to answer that question. A couple things as we go ahead and get, that final question. And if there's other questions, you guys feel free to let me know as well. A couple things that I want to highlight in just some of the numbers that we're seeing. Obviously, we know a couple things are happening. Our inventory, even though it's fairly low, is going up, as are home prices, which is to be expected considering the market that we're in. Right now, whenever I get questions on things like the appraisal or things like that are going on, we absolutely are still seeing requests for appraisals to be waived. Right, we are definitely still seeing this. What I really want to make sure that I'm encouraging you guys is when you're putting in that offer and you are doing any type of appraisal, any type of removal of the appraisal contingency, you want to make sure that you have a fairly clear picture of what the value is going to come in at, right? So even if you're not the listing agent, you should still be running comparables. As a listing agent, you should also be running your comparables, not just to determine price, but determine realistically where you think it's going to appraise at, because that's going to help you to better vet the buyers that are potentially interested in the property, especially if they're waiving their contingencies. Right? Because what happens? All of a sudden, we get a appraisal coming in and it comes in below value, right? And we know that if the appraisal contingency has been waived, now the buyer has a little bit more limited options in terms of what they're going to do. Now, if they expected it to come in low and there's a preparation around that, that's going to be, then we are able to kind of manage that. And so we always want to make sure we're kind of setting those expectations with the client up front. The same thing on the listing side, right? We want to have those conversations with our sellers as well, that, hey, chances are, we could potentially get offers above. And yet, depending on what the appraisal is, right, we want to know and we want to have a little bit more information as to whether the buyer that we're working with or accepting an offer at is going to be able to come out of pocket with those expenses, or whether they should be expecting some type of negotiation. We are also seeing this with the iBuyers, right? So with the iBuyers, a couple things that I want to note, because I'm seeing those offers coming in right now that you guys are working through with our Seller Solutions program. A couple things to note. There is a difference between the iBuyer solution and the bridge solution, right? The bridge solution is specifically the opportunity for your client to get an offer, to get 80% of that offer up front so that they can go purchase their next property, to rent back the property, right? To rent back the property so that they don't have to leave the home. And then once that their next offer is accepted, they close escrow on their future home, they're getting ready to move out, then it's for you to actually then go list the home and for them to get their remaining 20% value, right? Now, give or take 15 to 20%, whatever that is, but they're getting about 70 to 80% up front, is how that program works. Now, we know what happens. There are service fees associated with it. They essentially pay a premium in order to have the opportunity to have that service. And yet it's about the convenience, right? It's about the time that maybe they're losing, and all of a sudden interest rates are going up or home prices are changing or whatever that might be. So it's about the time savings value as well as the convenience of being able to have that bridge offer while also having you there as the fiduciary for them. The secondary piece of that is the iBuyer program. The iBuyer is a separate type of offer. Right, iBuyer is, we have a investor, right, more of like an institutional investor that's coming and saying, I will buy this property cash, right? I'm going to buy this property now. I don't necessarily, want to have a million showings on it. It doesn't have to go on open market. Now, all of a sudden we have a new option that is available for the client. Now, there's two types of iBuyers that we're seeing that are buying in the areas that you guys are looking at through our Seller Solutions program. One has their service fee. One has no service fees, but is giving lower offers. So they're basically baking that into the purchase price. It's just another option that you have for your clients. I'm not going to go into it too much today. We will tomorrow at our meeting at 2 p.m. We're going to go into this a little bit more in depth and actually go into the system, because I think it's important for you guys to be reminded on how to look at or how to submit those offers. If you have questions on it, we can definitely help you, because it's a great tool to be taking to your listing appointments. A couple other things I want to note, right? The iBuyers are continuing to show up in the market and in around us, right? And what I mean is, there are already iBuyers that are out there. The difference with the Seller Solution Program is that you are the one bringing that opportunity to the table, that you're able to really do the fiduciary duty that you have to your client and to advise them on what the best option is. Plus, you're also showing them what would they get on the open market, right? So that they can really compare and see which option is going to be in their best interest. If they go direct to an iBuyer, they lose that opportunity, right? And they really don't necessarily have somebody that's there acting on their behalf to make sure that they're taken care of. We are seeing, though, that the iBuyers, the institutional iBuyers, one of the things I noticed this week was Redfin Now, which is Redfin's iBuyer program, just launched in Tucson, Arizona. Arizona is a huge, huge iBuyer market. They also resumed service in Las Vegas. If you guys remember, with the pandemic, they kind of pulled back some of the things that they were working on. We saw a lot of the more tech-focused companies, specifically on things like Zillow, Redfin, their iBuyer programs kind of pull back a little bit. Some of the other iBuyers like Open Door, we saw a lot of layoffs that happen. They're all ramping back up. So it's important for us to kind of monitor those things, because we know that it means what? When a company that has so much money to go do research on what's happening in terms of these markets, we know that they're seeing opportunity, right? People are absolutely using iBuyer. So don't miss out on the opportunity to also show that to your clients, because it's about bringing them options, right? It's really about bringing them options. The other thing I want to note, and of course, we have our meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m., right? There's going to be a lot of announcements. We have a phenomenal contest coming up, but there's 2 events specifically I want to make sure that I share with you guys right now. One, we are having a $1 billion panel, okay? A $1 billion panel. This is going to be a massive, phenomenal mastermind, and it's free for you guys, okay? The reason that I want to point it out is I want you to block out next Tuesday, 1 to 4 p.m. This panel is free. And honestly, some of the speakers that are going to be on this panel are the type of speakers that you see on stage at Family Reunion, at Inman Connect. This is an extremely, extremely powerful group of individuals. I'm gonna share the link with you guys right now. This is a huge, huge opportunity, right? Because these speakers generally charge a ton of money to go speak, to go share. I want to give you just a quick note of the lineup. Denny Grimes closed 80 million in volume in 2020. Okay, Chris Suarez closed 2 billion in volume in 2020 and 5,400 units. Brady Sandall, the director of luxury for KW, who closed 150 million in volume and 200 units in 2020. Derek Oy, who we have been blessed to have him speak for our office personally, and here we'll see him on the panel as well. He closed 215.8 million last year and 411 units. CC Pagano closed 157 million last year. Harrison Beecher, who closed 138 million and 313 units last year. Daniel Dixon, who closed 118 million and 322 units last year. Then we will also have Jason Abrams, who is the Vice President of Industry for Keller Williams, as well as Tristan Ahumada, who is the CEO of Lab Coat Agents. So for those that don't follow Lab Coat Agents, they are the largest Facebook group for real estate on the net, right? They're a huge Facebook group, a huge company, extremely influential. This is going to be an absolutely phenomenal mega agent panel. They're going to be covering topics of the future of real estate, seller listing best practices. So what is working on listings right now, mindset, megasphere, the luxury market, scaling business. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal lineup. And we have a second phenomenal panel that's going to be coming up as well. So what happens? We love the mega agents. They bring a lot of value, and yet their businesses and their lives are so big that sometimes we're like, it's so much to learn, right? It's a lot to learn. And we also want to know, hey, where do we go ahead and get started? And so we are also bringing a rookie panel on May 4th. This is going to be a phenomenal rookie panel. It's 4 agents who 2020, during the middle of a pandemic, was their first year in real estate. Okay, was their first year in real estate, brand new licensees, not first year with Keller Williams, first year in the business, right? They are KW agents that did between 144,000 to 256,000 in gross commission income last year as rookies in the business. One of them has a full-time job. Right. So phenomenal results that they're getting. They're going to be letting us under the hood of their business as well. We're really excited to be able to bring both of these panels to you guys for free. So very excited for that as well. If there's any questions that come up, I know I sent the emails out on these. I will make sure that they're posted in the hub so that you can go ahead and register as well. And they're on our Eventbrite page. As well. And they also, if you look at our KW Seller Leverage page, the internal page that we have for you guys, if you scroll right over to events, you're going to see both of these events noted there for you as well. So a lot of information this morning that I wanted to cover. There is a lot more I want to go through, but we're going to save that for tomorrow's meeting at 2 p.m. So make sure you have that on your calendar. With that, the last thing that I will leave you with, I know I said it at the beginning of the meeting, and I'm going to say it again for Los Angeles County. The $20,000 mortgage relief grant is something you need to be sharing with your clients if you have not done so already. Text, call, send that out. Our job and our fiduciary responsibility to our clients, we help them, right? We help people. That is the job. We serve our clients. We educate them. We let them know, what options and opportunities they have to serve them. And this is going to be a really big piece of that you want to make sure you're sharing. I see a hand went up. Jovita, you have a question?
Yes, I do, Monica. Can we put the hyperlink on our smart plan to share it on Facebook, or it doesn't have that option?
Yeah, absolutely. So specifically with the smart plan, a smart plan is not going to be the same as the campaigns. That's a great question though. Can you use a smart plan to text it, email it, and share it out with your clients? Absolutely. In campaigns, you can actually use, you can do 2 things. So one, you can schedule some posts so that you're posting about this consistently on your business page through the scheduler in campaigns. Or if you wanted to send out something so that it's showing up on your database's social media feed, you can do that as well through campaigns for everybody whose email you have. If they're using that same email with Facebook, you essentially can retarget them within that. That's a big tech question. I would say the more important thing that I would do initially is if you, and don't forget guys, we always want to follow the do not call guidelines and do not text guidelines, right? And yes, you can use smart plans to send that information out via email, via text message, directly to those that are in your database. So
another question, Monica, if the person has unsubscribed from receiving our text messages, our command console will automatically detect that, right? It will just not send.
Yep. Yes,
okay.
It'll remove them if they've unsubscribed there. So you want to make sure that you're noting that. It'll also give you an alert.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so a lot of information today. If you had questions specifically on how to do that in command, right? Because I know that's a really big tech question, and it's a great way to leverage this out, especially if you have a really large database, right? Then there's going to be a couple things you could do. One, we have, our amazing tech concierge, Diana Carbajal. Her information is posted on our leverage page, so you can definitely connect with her as well. She does a lot of classes and things like that around this as well. Ruben Bravo, our regional tech trainer, is running classes every single week. Those are going to be the ones that are highlighted in turquoise on the calendar. He's a great person to ask questions like this as well. And then in our KW Seller Leverage page, if you go down to the 3rd tab, it's going to say on-demand command training. And there are videos for every single thing that you can do in Command with full write-ups on every single piece. What you would be going to specifically for this question is going to be the Command Your Lead Generation section, right? So hopefully that helps. With that, I hope you guys have an absolutely phenomenal rest of your day. And I will see you for our meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. All right, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Monica.
Absolutely.